football team is better than your football team. My perception of God is better than your perception of God. So I don't like the dogma version of the church or religious belief. Like, let me tell you a story what God's doing now. Like, who knows what God is doing? I think I posted a video the other day, and it was like, what is God thinking now? And I was like, how would I know what God's thinking? That's way beyond, that's above my pay grade, you know? A God defined is a God confined. I don't want to define God at all. The source, I have no clue what the source is doing.
Yeah.
And anybody who tells you they do know what the source is doing is probably misguided also. Like, who knows, you know? I can't even comprehend or begin to understand what source energy is doing, you know, in this present moment. So, and when people like, let me tell you a story about God, like, how do you know what God is doing, you know? Like, so like my guru always used to say, we don't get attached to the stories, we do our own inner work. Like, these are good stories around the campfire, but how does this story serve you in the present moment, you know? So I don't know. So like yeah, but when people try to tell me about what God is doing or what God said, I tend to try to get away from those type of people, because who knows what God, I have no clue what God's doing. Feeling the call within? Learn the ancient art of Kriya Yoga. Book a guidance call at kriyayogamasterclass.com and take the first steps inward. Now back to the teachings. Yeah, they're out there. They're definitely going to tell you. They're definitely going to project their God onto you, you know? Let me tell you what you should believe. Believe whatever resonates with you. Like I always say in our Kriya Yoga school, what is the best practice? The best practice is whatever uplifts you and makes you feel the best. That is the best practice. What is the best perception of God? Whatever makes you feel the best and uplifts you. Whatever you resonate with, that is the best perception of God. Don't let other people's God become your God, you know? So that's kind of the way I look at it. So do what resonates the best for you and works best for you, and that will probably be the best perception of God. But I mean, I even think like saying the word God is kind of ugly and crude to something that is beyond crude physical words. Something such a beautiful, spiritual, uplifting energy is kind of crude to put these physical words, these three letters on such a magical divine being, let's say it like that. I mean, in my perception, I can't say for sure, but yeah. So that's why I like when the yogis say a God defined as a God confined. I definitely don't want to put God in a box. This is the name that God goes by. This is what God is doing. This is what God said. This is God's direct email. I want no part of that ego play at all, you know? I have no clue, you know? That's my best answer. So when I watched that video back the other day, I was kind of laughing. I was like, I have no clue what God's thinking or what God is doing or anything like that. So yeah, don't let other people's God become your God. Let's say it like that. Whatever God makes you feel the best and uplifts you and helps you get you through the day, that probably is the best God. So when people ask me what is the best mantra or what is the best God to pray to in yogic tradition, I say whichever one resonates the best with you, that is the best God. And I don't want to judge anybody's God. You know, whatever works best for you, that is the best God to have. So that is the best mantra to have. Whatever God makes you feel good and gives you that inner uplifting, tingling feeling, that is the best God, I would say.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if God even has any thoughts. It's just like I don't know. Why would God? I don't know. I don't even. I have nothing to verify. Why would God even? I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, true.
I don't know. This is another God question you can't even answer. But if God wanted us to receive moksha, like liberation, why did He create? Or I don't want to say He. Why did He Maya be created? I don't know. Is that just to test us?
I mean, I can't say for sure. In my opinion, you need some kind of how would I say this? Can contract how would I
Yeah,
contrast
like
in your life, like if everything is bliss, you can only know bliss by not having bliss, right? So if there's no depression, you have nothing to really kind of compare it to. So you kind of need some suffering because you would take bliss for granted. So you kind of need that contrast to compare, like what is good and what is so-called bad, I would say. Like without no contrast, you wouldn't know the difference. You would take for granted the happiness and bliss you have. But if you've been in a place of depression or suffering, you kind of enjoy the breath of fresh air that bliss is when it comes. Let's say it like that. So I I think, in my opinion, I can't say for sure, but I would just say you kind of need that thing to compare, that measurable thing, that gauge, so you know what what is right and what is so-called wrong, I would say. But that's a tough question to
yeah,
ask, right? Like, I mean, that is always the main question. If God is so good and He is so powerful, why is there suffering in the world? Why does children have to go through suffering and this type of thing? And this is a difficult question to ask. But I would say, in my opinion, that to know what true enlightenment is or true bliss is, you kind of need the contrast of, all right, I've been in suffering, I've been in depression, so I know what that is. I don't want to go back to there. That's like going to jail. I want to go be a free bird and I want to fly. I don't want to be a bird in a cage. I want to be a bird that flies and feels the sun shining on its wings. So, but yeah, this is a question that's difficult to
yeah,
answer. Like, I mean, this is the part of the timeless question of God that's been asked since the beginning of time. So
yeah. Why?
why do I need to go through all these trials and tribulation? Wouldn't it be a lot easier to just all my bills were paid and I could just sit in the cave in the Himalayan mountains and just enjoy myself? Why do I have to go through these stages or these different levels of so-called suffering before I can extend?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. I agree with your statement. Like it's a contrast, between, just you have to like have been there and been able to see the evil and stuff to really get a greater appreciation of goodness and everything like that. And there's a Bible story. Who knows if these are true? And I know one being is not made above another being, but they said that the fallen angels were jealous because we were created to be like above them by our experiences that we experience here. Like we were made in God's image, and the angels did not get to come down here and like do the human experience thing. And so that's why some of these fallen angels, they were jealous and they wanted to run the show themselves. But that sounds like a likely reason for us to experience the contrast. Yeah. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. And yeah, sometimes even on my path, like, how could I say? I feel like certain beings, astral beings, look at us who are really doing the physical work, then like as almost kind of heroes. Like, wow, we're up here on our cloud, but this guy is really on the front line doing the inner work. Like, he's really down there with all the all the Maya and the delusion and all the suffering and the depression, and it, like, he's really doing the work. He's not talking about it, he's there.
So that brings up a good question. Like, do you think we volunteered to come down here, or was it like we have to?
I mean, I can't say for sure, but in my perception, I would say that I basically think that I would say what people say about the soul contract kind of resonates with me. I mean, I sometimes doubt it. Like, why would I sign a soul contract to go through all this when, but it gives you more of a contrast. Like, I know from a physical 3D perception that, because I experienced it, I know what it's like to go through suffering and depression because I've experienced it. That's why I don't want people to think like I'm this blissed out yogi because I'm a Kriya yogi and I'm on the path. I've been where they've been. I've asked the same questions that they've asked. I know exactly how they feel because I felt that way myself. So I think I would say, in my perception, I think, like, reflecting on it, that I made a soul contract to go as far off the yogic path to see if I could find my way back. And it was almost like a breath of fresh air. Like Babaji was like, what took you so long to get on this path? Man, you were having too much fun. I thought I almost lost you to another reincarnation. So that's kind of why I felt like, man, if I don't wake this guy up from his Maya delusion, he's going to stay in that delusion. And we're going to have to go through this again and again. Let's just try to wake him up. And when I did wake up, I did felt like a breath of fresh air. Like, oh yeah, this is what I was supposed to be doing. So I would say, in my opinion, I think I did kind of sign a soul contract. Like, well, if I'm going to go back, I'm going to go as far off the path, and I'm going to go as far in my ego as I can. If I can find my way back, then I'll know I'm on the right track. So, but yeah, I in my opinion, I do think you sign a soul contract, but that's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense to me. And plus, like, when we're not here, we're probably quite fearless, and we're like, oh yeah, I could do that, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think you get the memory wipe, because if you knew who you really were, then you wouldn't do, and you'd be on easy mode. Like, I know I can't die, so why should I even go through this spiritual growth or this spiritual evolution, or why should I do the inner work? So that's kind of why I think you have to have that memory wipe or that veil put over your face so you can't realize who you are. Because if you realize who you are, you really wouldn't do the inner work, because you know what the end of the game is already. If you like this video, book a call. If you found value in this video, click the link below, kriyayogamasterclass.com, to schedule a call with me and get deeper insights into your Kriya yoga practice.